The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Jaden. How are you guys doing? The link to SketchUp Make 2015. Let's see. If we go to, I believe it's just sketchup.com. www.sketchup.com/download if you want to go straight to the download page. That sounds like fun. I still can't figure out why you only see part of my screen. Yes, good idea. Let's go ahead and watch that now. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I'm not going back. Let's see. Is that acceptable quality? I know it's pretty rough. Okay. You can't select the download button. I had that problem too for a second. Did you select the application that you wanted first? Do you use Chrome? I couldn't use it in Chrome. I had to open IE. Internet Explorer. Hi, Gabe. We started early. We're just watching this video, but it's going pretty slowly. No problem. You're early still. Oh my gosh. I will. I'll let Mr. Dubik know. 2 packages. Oh, you know what? He mentioned that he was trying to get in touch with your family or whoever your contact information, whoever. Let me see. Let me look at his email. I think the post office had a problem delivering it, and it was returned to the post office or something. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what to do about that. That sucks. Yeah, it sounds like it's something with the post office, some problem with the post office, but I hope it gets fixed soon. Would you guys want me to finish this video? I don't know if it was like, I don't know if it was streaming well enough for you guys. I'm breaking up? Okay. Well, streaming this video is probably not a good idea. I'm going to close it out. Oh, you know what I will do? Okay. Yes, also an Aqueduct video. I'm going to send you the videos just in case you get a chance to load them up and watch them yourself. They're pretty cool. Definitely worth watching at some point. The Aqueduct one is humongous, especially. So it doesn't look like we'll be able to play these very well, though. So let's cover a couple of quick details that we missed from last time, and then I'll give you guys an option about what you would like to do next. SketchUp is not compatible. Oh no. I don't have a Mac, so I'm not sure. I mean, let me get through this classical architecture bit. It'll be pretty quick because we've already seen most of it. And I'll try to help you, see if there's any solutions. Maybe we can use an older version of SketchUp. Okay, so we talked about how the classical architecture period spanned from the Greeks to the Romans, and in particular, the Greek architecture had 3 different orders. In particular, we saw an example of this with the Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian columns, where we saw how the Doric columns were plain and simple. You often use on the outside of big structures. They're the oldest. Then the Ionic columns have the scroll work, usually used for smaller buildings and interiors. And the Corinthian columns weren't actually used very much by the Greeks, but were picked up by other civilizations, including the nation of the United States, and were used for more showy purposes when people wanted to show extravagance. SketchUp make is right. Yes, Jaden. All right. So we started talking about the Parthenon, with Athena. We saw part of a video, if you were here early, on how that was constructed in Minecraft. Let's see. And we saw that it was constructed using the lintel and post method, which is a loose stone, just stone resting on top of stone, no mortar. They used lots of simple machines to build it, including cranes, wedges, pulleys, that sort of thing. Haha, yeah. This is why we get the educational version. Jaden says SketchUp Pro is $600. It's good software. They can charge a lot for it. And apparently it's gotten a lot better lately. So hold on, Jaden, we're getting there. We're going to quickly review last time, and then we'll get right on with the next. So we saw how the Parthenon kind of gives some optical illusions, and how they fixed it using a method known as entasis, where they corrected the sagging from the horizontal lines. They built them convex so that they gave the appearance of being straight. So we can't look at the Minecraft video, but I did send it to you. Okay. Then the Romans improved roads, mainly for the economy and military. We talked about the groma, which was used to make the straight roads, and we quickly mentioned the arches, and how this key improvement made a lot of things possible. It's one of the reasons it's so structurally sound. It's one of the reasons why there's so many buildings left, ancient buildings from that period, including the Colosseum and parts of aqueducts. We talked about the impressiveness of the Colosseum, how it could seat 50,000 people and still be evacuated in under 15 minutes. And then the aqueducts was another interesting use of arches, where they were able to cross huge gaps that no one else could have done in this day and age to bring in water. Rome had a huge population, much bigger than any other, or at least most other cities in its age. Maybe in some other cultures, like in China, they might have had cities as big. I'm not sure. But they supplied water to a lot of the population. And you can see from this picture here, they even understood how siphons worked. You can see how the water does drop below, but because it's all completely sealed underground, the water continues to flow, and the net effect is the water going downhill, even though it goes back up for a little while. So they even understood how to use siphons and pipes to cross difficult to get across channels. And they even used sometimes they used lead pipes. Back then they didn't live quite as long, and they didn't get lead poisoning quite as quickly. But often concrete. So you can see from this picture here, Roman aqueducts and modern aqueducts are pretty similar. The only difference is that we typically keep our pipes completely underground. The treatment plant can add suction if it's higher up than the reservoir intake. Because it's an entirely closed system, it can suck it whether it's up or down. But otherwise, a lot of modern piping systems are based off of the technology that was first understood in the Roman age. So yes, there's another Minecraft video, which you won't be able to see. Okay, so that finishes what we didn't cover from last time. Now we have two options. What's with Minecraft? It's a pretty fun game that people can create a lot of different stuff. Why are we using it so much? Full of the demo. Jaden, I'll get back to you in just a second. We actually, I don't think we are using Minecraft. Are we? Maybe later. Oh, the Minecraft examples. That's just because people can make cool structures in Minecraft, and yes, the physics engine isn't great, but it's pretty good, and it allows for some cool effects. I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to you about that. About whether we're doing the Minecraft on a computer or Raspberry Pi. That's a good question. So one option is, this is the last thing we haven't covered in ancient engineering, is trebuchets. They're somewhat similar to catapults, but they added some new inventions. Or the alternative is we can start SketchUp right now, and I can walk you through setting it up and learning how to use it. So either is fine with me. I know you guys, well, I don't know. This is why I'm asking you. I don't know whether you're more interested in getting on. This is enough ancient engineering. So since there's three of you, we'll have a vote. Ancient engineering or starting SketchUp, which is a program for SketchUp has improved, I think, quite a bit since last year. It might be worth giving it another shot, Gabe. SketchUp doesn't work on your computer. Ancient engineering, okay. All right, not SketchUp then. If I use SketchUp, I have to use the old version. Okay. Then, yeah, we'll continue with ancient engineering, and I'll talk to Mr. Dubik about the compatibility issues. And what version of Mac did you say you were using? .7.5. Okay. I'll write that down. Okay. And is that, Jaden, is that difficult to upgrade? I'm not sure what the numbers mean in terms of upgrading, if you have to even pay for it, or it's just you can download it. Is that something you think you might be able to do by next week or not? It's okay either way. Just would be good to know. You have to buy the new version. Okay. Well, I'll find out what to do next week. It might be that we start doing something else. Okay. I'll definitely pass on the message. So for the rest of today, we can go through ancient engineering. So trebuchets. Catapults or ER truck simulator. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Sorry, one sec. All right, so catapults can be split into three categories. There's a traditional catapult, a ballista, and a trebuchet. And so far we talked about the first two. And so the next one, the last one, is a trebuchet, which it launches a projectile using a counterweight to add extra force rather than something under a lot of tension. So instead of storing energy elastically, I think, I'm not sure that they've decided yet. I think they're reviewing the submissions right now, Jaden. Yeah, so the first catapults here, you can see the catapults and trebuchets. Let's see. That's not a catapult shown up here. This is, what did we call it? A ballista. So in yellow is a ballista here. And you can see how, because it stretches and it bends, it builds up that force in what we call elastic potential energy. And when it bends back, that flings something forward. Well, it tends to, or what happens with things, with bending is you can only bend something so far before it'll snap. So to add even more power to these devices that launch objects, trebuchets were invented. They actually originated in China and in Europe around the same time. So we'll focus on the counterweight trebuchets designed in the 12th century. Actually, the advancements were spread by Islam and Byzantium civilizations, and they spread both in Western Europe and to China, and were developed independently. So how do they work? A very heavy counterweight is hoisted up into the air, usually with its own set of devices, and it is just dropped. So the lever on the other side, it's kind of like a seesaw, but with different lengths to the saw. And when it drops, it flings the ball up into the air. And we'll see some better examples in a sec. Basically a giant mechanical slingshot, Jaden says. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so this will step us through a little more closely. We can see here the counterweight, and as it falls, this arm lifts quickly up into the air, and this ball right here is flung out. It's picked up, flung out, and right at this point, or maybe a little bit after this, right, very quickly, very precisely, at a certain angle, this hook right here will be released. And so what happens is this catch opens up, and as at the moment that it opens up, it doesn't have any more. It's not holding onto the ball anymore, and the ball sails away into the air. So, just with that quick explanation of how trebuchets work, what do you think are some of the factors that affect the trebuchet performance, how far the trebuchet shoots? I'll show this picture here so you can look back at it. Do you guys have any thoughts? The kind of thing I'm looking for is maybe how heavy this weight is. Very heavy. Yeah, so it is heavy. What other factors do you think would affect how far this shoots? Okay, very far and very heavy are like what happens. I mean, or characteristics, I guess. It shoots very far, and it is really, really heavy. But okay, so I'll just keep going, I guess. So some things that affect it are how heavy the counterweight is, how high the counterweight is lifted, how heavy the projectile is. If the projectile is heavier, then the counterweight is not going to be able to throw it as far. It also depends on how long the sling is, which is the more ropey part that launches and then swings around at the end. And then there's a launch angle, which is the angle that the ball is freed and is no longer being propelled, and it starts leaving up in the air. So if it's launched higher, then it's not going to go as far, but it might go higher. It'll take longer to land. Or if it's launched straight out at an angle or at, parallel with the ground, then it will maybe not go as high, but it'll go really quickly. And then there's another factor that we wouldn't have been able to know about yet, but they have wheels and hinged counterweights, which are other improvements that they made. So here's a link that you can go to try out your own trebuchets. So how they work, they're powered by gravity. So this is interesting. The force is generally equal to 4 to 6 times the counterweight arm's length. And then the sling acts as a secondary fulcrum. So the energy comes from how high it's lifted off of the ground, and then that energy is transferred by that relationship between how long the distance from that pivot point to the counterweight, and then the distance from that pivot point to where the ball is. And so that tends to be 4 to 6 times apart, and then and that helps determine, you know, how much energy gets transferred. So we talked about how the gravitational energy is stored, and it is translated into first rotational kinetic energy because it drops and it's rotating very quickly, and then that rotational kinetic energy, as it launches the ball up into the air, gets turned into just linear kinetic energy. Rotational is a little bit different because, for example, if you take a bike wheel and you just spin it, then it's a perfect frictionless bike wheel. It's like the best. You get the best axle grease you can, and you put it on the bike wheel, and then you spin it in space, because then there's no friction anywhere, no air friction. It's the best, and it just keeps on spinning forever. So that shows us, that experiment, at least our thought experiment, shows us that rotational kinetic energy preserves itself, because that would keep on going and keep on going. Now, like in real life, of course, there's air friction due to the air and friction due to the axle, which slowly, very slowly, will slow the wheel down. But it's preserved. So that rotational kinetic energy in that short amount of time doesn't really lose much due to friction or the axle. So that preserves the energy until it's launched with the ball. So then this sling, there's a little pin here that right at the end of the wooden part, the sling has a hook, and it hooks onto a what's called a finger, and that angle of the finger helps determine the angle that the projectile's launched, and thus like where it lands. So you can control, if you throw it higher in the air, then it might not go as far. If you throw it really close to the ground, it also might not go as far. But if you throw it just a medium, like maybe 45 degrees into the air, then that is going to be pretty close to the farthest it can possibly go. So you adjust the little finger until the ball launches at the right angle, and you can get your maximum distance. I'm going into this much detail because at the end of this, there'll be a picture that shows you how you can make your own catapult. And so knowing how to fine-tune it will help you figure out how to how to throw it. I mean, how to fine-tune it so that it won't just, it might never let go if you don't have if the finger is not at the right angle, or it might come off too quickly and launch backwards even. So they're just little improvements that you can make. So here is a world record trebuchet at Warwick Castle in England, and I'll go ahead and show this to you guys.
Warwick Castle trebuchet, built in 2005, is fired on a daily basis throughout the season. It is reputed to be the largest siege engine of its type in the world, and stands tall at 18 metres, and it weighs in at a staggering 22 tonnes. It's made up of 300 individual components and usually fires around as 15 kilos in weight at a speed of up to 150 miles an hour, though it's actually capable of firing around 10 times this. Main throwing force of the machine is derived when the throwing arm, made of ash, is pulled down by the counterweight, a 1-ton box filled with 5 tons of rocks and rubble. To lift this box into position, first of all, a crew is placed into the wheels at the sides of the trebuchet.
Notice the wheel and axle
And
to
once
help
it
lift
comes
the
to mount,
counterweight.
they begin to walk and wind the wheels, which wraps a rope around the central axle between the two wheels to pull the firing arm down into the firing position. Meanwhile, the axle is now being bound up tight with the rope. So once the throwing arm has reached its point of firing and is locked off into position, the rope that is now tightly bound around the central axle, as we can see here, needs to be wound back off. If this is not wound back off, then once the trebuchet is fired, it will literally tear itself apart. Alternative methods of pulling the arm down to the firing position. Well, you could always use animals, cows or horses, or, as in this instance, you could cheat and use a tractor, which, and let's be honest, there weren't many tractors around in medieval times. Or, once the arm is in the firing position, it's locked off with the firing pin, and also a safety chain is engaged so that the machine can't misfire. The sling is then attached to the end of the throwing arm and placed in a trough where it is to be loaded with the shot. During medieval sieges, the trebuchets were used to fire more than just rocks. They could fire just about anything from beehives to dead animals. They could even fire fire, but we'll see that later. Once loaded, the trebuchet master checks that everything is ready for firing and sets the trigger. He removes the safety chain. All is live, ready to go. Final checks made. He puts on his tin hat and retires to a safe distance and lets the audience take over with the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And there it goes! 150 miles an hour! Death from above, ladies and gentlemen! The biggest trebuchet in the world!
And here's the fire. Okay, so there, you saw it's not super, it is a good font. It's not super, it's not the most entertaining thing to watch a trebuchet fire because you have to be so far back that it looks like it's moving very slowly. But in fact, they're among the most powerful siege weapons for the distance they can throw and the amount of weight they can throw, because they control very slow movements but are able to sling sling humongous weights, amazing distances and at amazing speeds, because they just perfect using each simple machine in exactly the way, the best way, using the levers and the counterweight. You could see there, it didn't actually swing quite as much. It was slightly less attached, which improved the efficiency because it doesn't want to. The counterweight resists rocking back up, which will take away some of the some of the power, and you also saw that they could throw things like fire. What they do for that is they take rocks or wood, and usually lots of rocks, and which they drench in oil of some sort. It could be probably the type of oil that would be used. This really tarry black oil. They didn't have quite such refineries like we have today, so they light that on fire just before they throw it, and that the trebuchet will just launch it just like anything else. And those rocks land on things, and the rocks bust into pieces, and the fire spreads everywhere because it's the oil won't just go out because it's flying through the air. So if you are interested in trying your own trebuchet that's even more or much more intricate than the Global Spec trebuchet, you can go to this link. There. It can be pretty fun to play around with and see what kinds of things have a big impact on the trebuchet and what don't. And also playing around with the units can be a little fun too. So here we have a CD trebuchet that I am going to get you a picture of this because there's not such intricate diagrams as we had before that help show you how to make it. But from watching how they work and knowing how they work, and you can even look this up on Wikipedia or How Stuff Works to see the diagrams again. But this shows you, I think, enough detail that you can get these to work for yourself. So this one's probably one of the most complicated designs, but you should try it out. I'll send you a picture of this. Let's see. If I go edit. Let's see if this works. Nope. Slide 27. Oh, I want that one. Alright, in 1 second, I'll get you this. And from here, this is pretty much all we've got for trebuchets. There's not that much new. And we still have about 20 minutes. So for those of you that could, that can use it, SketchUp, we could go through installing it. I can also start troubleshooting your issue, Jaden. It might be that we can use an older version that still has some of the improvements, but I can start looking into that. Also, let me see if we've got. Is there anything else we missed? Is there anything that you would be interested in that was in the description for the things? We might be able to change the order around them. SketchUp does have some pretty cool things, but Minecraft Kerbal rocks him. Okay. Do you guys have any? Anyone else have any thoughts? All right. All right, Jaden. I'll pass the feedback on to Mr. Dubik, and maybe we can get figure out something else. Yeah, there's well, so our options from here are if you want to, if there's anything particularly interesting, we could watch those Minecraft videos. That last video seemed to stream a little bit better than before. If you want to, I could give that a shot. Would anyone be interested in that? Watching the Minecraft videos. That we tried to watch in the beginning of class? All right. Yeah, that'd be cool. Can you download a free version of Minecraft? I've never used it before. Yeah? Cool. We probably shouldn't be doing that, Gabe. Okay, I'm just going to get to the video. Good. Okay, there it is. Okay. Yeah, let's see if this goes this time. Oh yeah, sure. I'm not sure. Gabe, you said you played Minecraft, right? Where do you get quartz from? Underground. Okay. And there it is. Gabe, you should do that and send us a picture. If you do, I'll show it in the next classroom. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to do that, or I would. The software doesn't give me the power to do that. Ask Mr. Pearson. Well, I'm pretty sure he's busy right now, but maybe I'll look into seeing if I can figure out how to do that. Okay. You guys want to watch the Aqueduct one next? Or is that enough Minecraft for you guys? So Jaden, that's kind of like the cost to build it is instead of taking a lot of money, it takes a lot of time. But the trade-off in Minecraft world, you spend a lot of extra time, whereas in the real world, you'd have to spend a lot of extra money. All right, well, it doesn't sound like you guys are interested in this video, so we're going to end about 5 minutes early today, and we'll hopefully figure out how to, or what we'll be doing next, and make it so that you all can have a lot of fun, because this is for you guys. All right, and you say Unity. Anyone, you want to add any more votes? Kevin, I haven't heard from you. Okay, that's perfectly fine. All right, well, you guys have a good week and weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Thank you, Gabe.